Hello and welcome to my new YouTube video. Today's just gonna be a chill one and I'm gonna show you how I made this watercolor painting. There's a cat barfing rainbows. Okay, so these are the tools I used. Paint and brush and palette and Hello Kitty cup. It has to be Hello Kitty or else your water will not work. And then I also used this paper that I forgot to show you IRL. Well, technically, I'm showing you it right now. This is what the paper looks like. Okay, anyways, let's get into the first topic of this video. So we're gonna be talking about mental burnout, and then I will be sharing some coloring tips for this painting. So, I wanted to talk about this just cause it was on my mind, quite literally. The burnout was on my mind because I've been building up a lot of stress and sadness and cringe. And so what happened was when it all accumulated, I had a mental breakdown and I suddenly had zero motivation to do anything, and all I could do was lay in bed and be sad and depressed. So that was sad and depressing, and I wanted to share my experience with that and what helps me recover, especially with art. I also wanted to share how I felt bad not being productive because I was able to work on things, that would help my art career, but I didn't have energy to do that, and I felt like, I'm so lucky to be able to even make any money from art. And I felt guilty, but that's just how it is. So anyways, here are some things that help me feel better when I'm in this sort of, mental rut. I would say the first thing, by the way, this is different from art burnout because obviously art burnout is just when you can't draw. I'm saying that because my first suggestion is to draw, and what really helps me is drawing something easy, something that I'm super used to, something that is literally like I can do it unconsciously, because that is very therapeutic and it's very relaxing, okay? It's very relaxing. For example, like coloring my comic or rendering a painting, those are very therapeutic things, And if you just get in the zone and put on your favorite music or your favorite show, or Queso playing Water Park Simulator, it's very healing, I would say. In fact, it may be more healing than crystals. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, a second tip is to get in touch with the art community, because we are humans and humans are social creatures. So that could just mean talking to your friends about art, or seeing what people are up to. And if you don't have any energy to interact, or you don't have any art friends, you can just see what's going on in the art world, and that can potentially motivate you to make art, and then that will make you feel less burned out. Hopefully. Obviously this is different for everybody, because I would say, sometimes there's people who get involved into the art community and that doesn't help them, maybe because they have a bad habit of comparing themselves or something like that. So just know what helps you. Anyway, if you're feeling burnt out, I would also say please try not to push yourself, only do what is necessary, because you already have so little willpower, so you really don't want to exert yourself, because that will just make it even more difficult. And I also want to tell you that sometimes it's okay if you can't help it and you fall into bad habits or you do something bad to yourself. You shouldn't feel guilty, because feeling guilty does not help you work on yourself. Do you know what I mean? You aren't perfect, so sometimes you just have to let yourself make mistakes. And guys, truly be kind to yourself, because you deserve kindness in this world. And if you struggle with that, I like to imagine that I'm comforting a friend, because sometimes it's difficult to treat yourself like a human being just because, you're in your head so much. But if you look from a different perspective, maybe that will help you. Okay, Anyways, that's all. That's all I have to say about that. Let me know if anything resonated with you, or if you have anything you want to share to help anyone yourself. You can leave that in the comments below. Thank you. This is a pretty good segue to the second half of the video, which is just talking about coloring, the coloring of this painting. Okay, so let's talk about firstly the color palette. And recently, I've been really liking rainbows. And I feel like, okay, rainbow isn't a color, it's a collection of colors, but you know what I mean. I feel like rainbows and the color black and white, you can add to anything and it'll be okay. It's just like these colors that cannot be interfered with. And then you can have like an additional color palette with that. So I tried to make it like purple and yellow. Everything just kind of turned into like a barf of rainbows. And you know what? I'm not mad about that. And so how do I even place these colors? One very crucial thing to think about is contrast, because I want the points of interest to have the most contrast. And so what do I mean? Well, I want kind of the two focal points of this drawing to be the moon and also the character that wasn't going to be my character Felix, but then he just kind of morphed into him, but he has a different nose, so maybe it's not him. Anyways, what was I talking about? So I made the moon and this character have this stark black and white contrast, and these two subjects are kind of placed diagonally across the page because you have these, you know, both contrasting points on the page. It kind of leads your eye across the page. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm kind of just taking shapes, dark colored shapes, the blobulars, and I'm just, what was that? I'm just filling in the empty space. So I decided to add the purple mountains as well as the top right. You know, I noticed there's space to fill there. And also something that I like doing when I'm working with traditional is I just like cross my eyes and everything becomes blurry. And then you kind of see easier like what are the big spots that need to have more going on, you know, more contrast, more colors. Also, I want to talk about, let's talk about edging, okay? I mean edges. What? We're gonna incorporate contrast with the edging, okay? So I want to emphasize the edges. For example, the black shirt. The shirt is very dark, okay? It's the color black. Black is a dark color. If you didn't know that, you're welcome. I just educated you. You can notice kind of this halo effect around the black because, you know, that contrast with the black shirt and then the brightness right next to it, it makes it pop out more. If I want the edges to be emphasized, I'm going to put more contrast towards those edges. Yeah. Anyways, so also with the placement of the rainbows, I'm also just kind of filling in the blank spaces. So, you know, 2 on the left and then 1 on the right because it's spread out, but it's also in a natural way because it's not completely evenly spread out. Do you know what I mean? That might make absolutely no sense, but it's kind of a part of nature where things in nature are not perfectly evenly spaced out, but they're clumped in different amounts. If we're talking about like flowers, you know, every flower is not gonna be in a pattern in nature. It's gonna be randomized, RNG. Okay, so yeah, anyways, I'm just coloring in these houses and we're just adding the details and layering because this is watercolor, so we're gonna build up the colors. And also something else I wanted to mention is this kind of effect that I am a big fan of, one may say the biggest fan of, which is just like adding little color variances everywhere. Like for example, on the shirt again, I added a little bit of the poop brown and then we have some of the blue in there as well, so there's a little bit of color variance going around there too. And then there's just a lot of different hues going on. But also when you do this, you want to pay close attention to the values, because even though the colors are changing, you want the overall darks and lights to make sense. Even though there's different colors in the black area, it's still really dark. Honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing with the clouds at first. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make the edges of the clouds darker, and then towards the bottom of the clouds it's gonna be lighter. But then I changed my mind and I wanted the bottom of the clouds to be darker. So it was a little messy of a process, but I think it looks okay in the end. Don't be afraid to experiment. If your drawing turns out ugly, then I'm sorry. I'm not responsible. But that's how you make a whimsical drawing. You just believe in yourself and then you put stuff everywhere. So I added pink to the edges of the clouds. I'm not sure why. I like separating my colors in like warm and cool colors. So I guess I wanted the houses and the mountains to be cool with the purple and the blue, and then contrast it with the warmer clouds. But you know, everything ended up being more rainbow anyway, so I don't know. But also, I did want to add a lot of yellow because did you know that yellow is the complementary color of purple? Yeah. So now that you know that really crazy fact, that's why this painting has colors that complement each other. Also, with the thing I said about the edges earlier, you can see on the right side, I made the clouds, the edge of the clouds, have some contrast with the glowing effect behind the dark cloud area. I don't know if you see what I mean, but yeah. So I'm just adding more depth by deepening all the shadows. It's nothing, I'm not really using any crazy lighting tricks here. I'm kind of going for a more abstract approach. So I'm just kind of imagining as if all the clouds are like layers of paper, and on the bottom of each cloud layer is the shadow from the clouds in front of it. Let's play some music. What kind of music do you want to play? Let's do some piano music. Yeah. Okay. This is the good stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will give you a free cookie. So I'm gonna use this jelly roll pan. Okay, I'm gonna roll on the jelly and add some glitter details so it's the clear color. It's very satisfying. As well as some more subtle glitter stuff. I don't think you can even see what's happening, but I promise you, really big things are happening. Gotta make the rainbow sparkly, obviously. Wow, look at the sparkles, guys. Okay, and now we're gonna take off this tape. Oh yeah, that's what's happening. And then put my ugly signature in an unsatisfying spot. Yeah, that was the painting. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if it helped you. Yay! Also, the cat is wearing a Santa hat, so that makes me happy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, also, I noticed we're kind of close to 20,000, which is so crazy. So if we reach there, I'm gonna give you $1 million. So yeah.